everyone, this is Dr. Nisha Nujumudeen. The topic of discussion for the day is Global Multi-Dimensional Poverty Index. So this is concept number 12. Those who have missed concept 1 to 11, you can actually check out the playlist of this particular video series so that you can revise all those basic concepts as well. So to begin with, let's have a look into what is Global Multi-Dimensional Poverty Index. Now, this particular MPI index was developed by United Nations Development Program. Now, it is not only UNDP. There is also another organization associated in releasing Global Multi-Dimensional Poverty Index. So now, in the year 2010, along with United Nations Development Program, another organization called as OPHI, which means UNDP plus Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative. These two together releases Global Multi-Dimensional Poverty Index. So if you see, since 1995, what happened was that to measure poverty, there was one index called as Human Poverty Index or HBI since 1995. Now, poverty was measured that time only based on one single indicator, which is income. For example, based on the level of income. If one person is having 30,000 rupees, another person is having 1 lakh rupees per month. Accordingly, what happens? Their purchasing power parity or capacity increase and decreases, right? For example, a person having 30,000 rupees monthly as a salary can buy an Oppo phone or a Realme, Redmi, whatever. Whereas a person having 1 lakh as monthly salary can afford to buy an iPhone. So now, based on the income levels, the purchasing capacity or parity of the individual changes. So now, previously, poverty was measured only based on income. And for that, the indicator used was Human Poverty Index. But in the year 2010, another change was brought in order to include multiple dimensions or to include various other factors also to measure poverty. So now, global multi-dimensional. Multi means what? More than one aspect. So now, in multi-dimensional poverty index, poverty is measured not only based on income, but also based on other factors like access to basic medical facilities, access to quality education, access to safe and hygiene drinking water, sanitation, access to reliable electricity, etc. So now, apart from income, a span of 10 indicators is taken into consideration to measure poverty. It is not just the money or the income that a person has. Rather, if a person is deprived means what? Is completely avoided, right? If a person is deprived of other basic facilities, then he or she is considered to be what? Multidimensionally poor. So those indicators or variables are also taken into consideration. So now, Global Multi-Dimensional Poverty Index. It has three main indicators. One is it measures poverty based on health, education and living standard, which is income. Under that, some other sub-factors come. Totally, a sub-span of 10 indicators are taken into consideration to measure multi-dimensional poverty index. Now, having said that, let's have a look into the case of our country, India. Over the years, India has been trying hard to reduce what? Poverty through various poverty eradication program. So now, poverty eradication means removal. We use the word eradication or alleviation in UPSC. We don't say the word poverty removal. So various poverty eradication or alleviation programs were introduced in order to reduce poverty. And yes, if you see, before COVID-19 pandemic, poverty rates were declining in our country, India. Now, when the pandemic came, it became a disastrous situation, not only for India, but for the entire globe or world as a whole. So before the pandemic, if you see, the rank of India in global multi-dimensional poverty index was 62. After pandemic, from 2022 onwards, the rank of India slipped 2 to 3 points ahead, which means as per the recent data of 2022, 23 and 24, it is said that India ranked 66 out of 109 countries for global multi-dimensional poverty index, which means lot more has to be done. If you see, during pandemic time, why suddenly the so-called poverty rates of our country India shoot up or it increases? Because people started losing job. People who had job also started losing job. So no regular flow of income. So how long a person can survive with the savings? They have to pay the EMI, they have to pay the rent, electricity bill, other daily budget expenses, etc. So there's a limit of exhausting the savings. Only burning was happening of money. No income was coming in because they lost what? The jobs and also production also became less during that time, right? Having said that, a category called as new poor. A category called as what? New poor was found out during what? During the COVID-19 pandemic time. In simple terms, people who are in the upper middle class, slowly and gradually, they came to middle class. People who are in the middle class went to what? Went to poor category. Or let's say a little of difficulty they started facing. And people who are in the poor category went to poverty. People who are in poverty, they disappeared. So it was a very crucial stage in which you could see transformation of the people into different cycles of poverty, and thus lot of poor people started popping up. So that is called as new poor, due to which what happened? India's poverty rates also gradually increased, or it was increasing. The last 20 years of effort looked like as if it was all in vain because of what? The effect of COVID-19 pandemic in the context of decreasing or reducing multi-dimensional poverty among the Indian people. Having said that, this multi-dimensional poverty index, if you see a global scenario, it is very interesting to see certain figures or statistics. It shows the real situation of the globe or the world as a whole. So now, out of 6.1 billion population in the entire world, which means more than 18%, approximately 18.6% of the world population, which is 6.1 billion out of 6.1 billion. Okay. I can tell you that 1.1 million people are in acute poverty. Acute means extreme, or let's say they are in extremely multi-dimensionally poor status or category. So now out of 6.1 billion, matlab 1.1 billion people, which is 18% of the population, they are found to be acutely. Acute means what? Extremely multi-dimensionally poor. Now, in this particular category, majority of them are found in the sub-Saharan African regions and also in the South Asian regions. In the South Asian regions means India is in the top leading category. And if you see in the sub-Saharan African region, as per the latest 2024 data, around 534 million people are found to be in acute multi-dimensional poverty. And in the South Asian regions, where India is a leading leader, I would say, if you see, more than 300, approximately 389 million people are found to be poor. What poor? Acute or extreme poverty. So now, when can you say a person is multi-dimensionally poor? The condition is that if he or she is deprived of 1/3 of all the facilities, which means out of the 10 indicators given in multi-dimensional poverty index, if 1/3 of the indicators, which means more than 33% of the indicators, they are deprived, they are not even having access to, then he or she is said to be in a condition or a status of acute multi-dimensional poverty or poor category. This is an application of this particular concept. Having said that, the so-called sub-Saharan African regions like Nigeria, Zimbabwe, South Sudan, etc., and also South Asian regions, which consist of India as well. These two regions are home for so many millions of people. Indeed, I would say that they are home to majority of the poor people in the world. And now in these two regions, which region? Sub-Saharan African regions and South Asian regions, which has India as well. I can tell you that 5 out of 6 people, that is 5 out of every 6 people are found to be poor. That is the ratio. But at the same time, another interesting part is, though we say that this is a condition of global multi-dimensional poverty index also globally, with regard to a country India, India was also among the other 25 countries like Morocco, Vietnam, Congo, Mexico, Cambodia, etc., to have shown a great progress in bringing down the multi-dimensional poverty index value within a span of 15 years, which means India has shown progress. You understand? But after pandemic time, again, what happened? The numbers went more. And thus, as per the recent data, I can tell you that in our country, India, the poverty rates among children, it is found to be higher, the multi-dimensional poverty rate. And if you see today in India, more than 230 people, approximately 234 million people are found to be in acute poverty or extremely multi-dimensionally poor. Apart from income, the other indicators of multi-dimensional poverty index, they are deprived of it. That is 1/3 of it, or more than 33% of deprivation they have. They do not have access. So they are poor. And now if you see children under 18 years of age, they account for half of the multi-dimensionally poor category of population. And now the next question that will come in your mind is, ma'am, only why children? If you see, when you measure poverty or when you measure hunger indexes, which we'll study next class, okay, always we measure adult poverty, adult hunger. At the same time, more focus is also given to children under especially 5 years of age, because they are the future citizens of our country, India. If a child is not able to survive 5 years of age, that shows that we don't have a very strong population, a healthy population, a nutritious food is not available to them, due to which they are in acute or chronic undernutrition or under malnourishment, etc. So basically for that reason only we take children. And now you look at this data. If you see children and adult, if you see who is highly poor, children are said to be, or let's say if you see the poverty rates among children is very high. 27.7% of children are found to be in acute multi-dimensional poverty, whereas 13.4% of adults have acute multi-dimensional poverty rates. So this shows that a lot more has to be done in improving what? In improving the conditions of these category or sections of society. So these are the important points that have to be kept in mind with regard to multi-dimensional poverty index. And it is high time that India take even more strict or stringent measures to ensure that we are reducing our levels and rates of poverty, so that we'll be able to come out of the vicious cycle of poverty or the trap of poverty, which is very, very important for human development index in a holistic or a larger level. So I hope all the information shared to you is crystal clear. And one more thing, as days pass by, as months pass by, data keep on changing. I have done this video, let's say on the month of November or December or whatever. So if you're watching this video in the month of January, February in the next year, 2025, the data can also change. So now please update yourself accordingly. Is it clear? And when I come up with new topics or concepts also, I will keep on adding those points as well, the updated data points as well. Okay. So having said that, I hope it is crystal clear for all of you. And now if you see one of the previous year question from Global Multi-Dimensional Poverty Index was, what does it cover or what does it include? Does it include the high purchasing power parity index? Definitely no. Or does it include the deficits of budget? Definitely no. Rather, Global Multi-Dimensional Poverty Index. It covers the deprivation of people or deprivation of what? Of education, health, assets and services at the individual or household level. This is a UPSC keyword. Based on this particular statement only, question was asked. You may feel free to note down this particular statement as well. So stay tuned for more such videos. See you all with the next topic. Till then, thank you and Jai Hind.